Sexual nature.
Okay, it's just gone midnight, and so they're running to a schedule. They were saying they've got someone waiting, so we will now go and follow them, and then if it goes to plan, then that pastor's going to end up in a prison tonight.
For the last few months, I'd been learning about how some inmates were grooming female officers amid a crisis of corruption in the prison system.
All right, let's jump in the car.
Right now, I'm following a gang in the process of delivering a package of drugs directly to a prisoner's window.
You're getting close to like 100 parcels a month. But I'm not the one doing the whole 100 parcels. There's many people like me, do you know what I'm saying?
These guys are part of a much bigger organised crime operation that involves a network of dodgy officers, drugs, and millions of pounds. But this investigation didn't start here.
That's how we live at Wandsworth, man. Yeah?
It all kicked off a year ago when I was sent a video of a prison officer having sex with an inmate.
Guys, we made history, that's what I'm telling you.
They want it to be posted, that's what you're saying to me. They want to go viral, innit? Yeah?
It set me off on a mission to uncover what is really going on inside our prisons.
And once you do something for them, then you're in their net.
I found an epidemic of officers being corrupted by inmates.
Got a groomer. How else are you going to get them on side?
Which led me to a much bigger story.
I was so deep into it and I did realise I'm in big trouble.
Involving claims of corruption that go to the very top.
In order for somebody to do something, everybody has to be paid.
Now I want to know, how much control do organised crime gangs have over our prisons?
That is the prison guard's car on fire.
And what are the risks to prison officers willing to stand in their way?
I'm an officer at HMPL course. There's been a car set outside my house all weekend, just in fear for my family's life.
I ruined so much just to prove a point.
At the moment, I'm putting a lot of time into going around the country, lots of different places, and following stories of prison officers who've had relationships with prisoners. But the vast majority have just been a door slammed in my face.
So far, I've spoken to one former female officer and her partner. They worked together to smuggle in contraband when he was still a prisoner.
Bigger than me and her, you know what I mean? You gotta be getting the security governors, you gotta make sure everybody's kept sweet.
Was their story isolated, or was corruption of senior staff more ingrained? As I waited for a lead to come through, I reached out to someone who was all over my timeline.
Morning guys, Sunday morning. I hope you have all had a good weekend.
Jamie served time in 28 prisons for convictions including a serious assault.
Muffin there, can you speak to me 2 seconds, jail tales?
These days, he spends his time speaking directly to recently released inmates for his social media channel. It's called Jail Tales.
You want me to drive, get us there quicker?
I've been building a picture of how drugs are getting into prisons. So now I want Jamie to give me an insider view on exactly what is driving demand.
Is this your full-time thing now?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Most of my days I'm like going here, there and everywhere to try and get videos. I get thousands of messages a week, like, and a lot of the time I get people saying, mate, I love what you do, you've stopped me from doing this, you've helped me on this.
Jamie wants to show his huge online following the hidden impact prison can have on inmates.
The first ever time I tried opiates or heroin or anything like that was in 2011. Loudon Grange, BCAT prison, rough jail, life is over 10 years and stuff like that.
Paint a bit of a picture for me, like tell me how did that happen in jail?
It's anything in prison to get your head over the wall. You're sick of being in jail and you want a day out, let's get off our heads and take drugs. I had a pad mate. I said, how do you sleep so much? And he said, I'm on methadone. And I'm like, what? I said, how'd you get that? He went, I was drinking in the morning. The next morning, he was spitting in a cup and bringing it back, and I was sharing it with him. And then about a week later, I remember saying to him, get me some of that, and I've got gear, someone's got gear, jumped on his gear, and I'm like, what does it do to you? Exactly the same thing as that does, methadone. So I went and, he went and got heroin, and
So that was the start of it?
I was injecting for a year, yeah. It did take over my life.
If you've got an environment that is conducive to, you know, people starting to use heroin who haven't used before, that doesn't sound like it's part of a process of rehabilitating.
Well, you're not going to get rehabilitated properly with what's in the prisons.
Today, Jamie is planning to film inmates leaving one of the prisons he's done time in.
Guys, we are now on a quick dash to HMP Kirkham, so I'll see you in a minute.
Before we can even get out of the car, someone recognises him.
What's he saying?
I was assuming it was someone that follows him online, but these guys weren't exactly looking for an autograph.
Grass just shot you in your face, you little rat.
Yeah, you don't scare me about getting out of the car. I'm not scared about getting out of the car, you're mad. I'm filming for your sake, because if you fight me, I'm not arsed about getting out of the car. If you just want to fight me, we'll fight. I'm more bothered about these. If you want to fight me, come around the corner. Yeah, my safety. Tell me to get around there. My safety, yeah, all right, all right.
Come in the car.
And I can't wait till you put your video up as well. When you put your video up, I'll react and tell you you've been told. Sound. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
You're fine, Jamie, you're fine.
A grass, you told me to get around the corner, but you couldn't come around the corner. Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Jamie, you're fine. Explain that level of aggro, why this up and stuff.
In 2021, someone shot me from mum's front door, yeah?
Was someone convicted?
20 years and 18 and a half years ago.
20 years and 18 and a half years?
Yeah.
So proper long sentences?
Shot me with, 9mm from mum's front door.
Do you know why they shot you?
Because I've given them a good hiding in the pub an hour before. When I stood in court, but I didn't say no one's names. And when I think about it, like, for months afterwards, I felt dirty. I felt like I knew what I'd done was wrong kind of thing at the time.
But Jamie, you'd just been shot.
Yeah, I know that, but like it was the code I'd agreed and abided by all my life.
So just by the fact that you'd used the court system, you'd gone to the police?
Yeah. I get it, I understand it. I would have called me a grass.
I looked up the guy who shot Jamie, and get this, just a few weeks into his sentence, he was in trouble again. This time for corrupting a prison officer to bring him drugs and phones. It felt like these cases of low-ranking officers being manipulated by inmates were kind of everywhere. But then a story broke that took things to a whole new level.
A former prison governor has been found guilty of misconduct in a public office for having a relationship with a drug-dealing gang boss locked up in the jail she ran. Kerry Pegg, who is 42, was told by a judge at Preston Crown Court that she will serve a custodial sentence.
When he applied to be temporarily released before the end of his sentence, she approved Anthony Saunderson's request without having the authority to do so. And after serving his sentence, Saunderson later gifted Pegg a £12,000 Mercedes.
So this is a governor that's been corrupted. It's not just a regular prison officer. Keep in mind, this is the woman that's meant to be in charge of the prison. You know, up until now, I've thought this is about vulnerable prison officers who have been manipulated by inmates, but this takes it into another league. Because if the governor's being corrupted, then that's the person at the top of the triangle.
There was no suggestion that Kerry Pegg had been involved in smuggling contraband, but this was the second time I was hearing about a banged-up drug dealer corrupting senior prison staff.
In order for somebody to do something, everybody has to be paid.
A pattern was emerging that suggested inmates with access to money and drugs can buy influence inside prison. I wanted to know if that was true.
As you can imagine, it isn't like you just call a number and say, hey, do you want to talk about your criminal activity? It doesn't work like that. So there's been quite a lot of negotiation and a long process. Someone has given me a place to meet.
I'd arranged to meet some dealers who'd sold drugs whilst in jail.
I think that's them.
Put them cameras down, you and just follow us, yeah?
Yeah,
Perfect. Camera down.
Perfect. I'm not following you. Shall I wait? Shall I come? Yeah, all right, we're good. Come on, let's go. How you doing, people? You okay? So my name is Mobeen. Are we rolling? How long were you inside for?
Roughly around 2 years. Like, I'm in there with people that are doing life and it's full of them. It's like, these lot are addicted to drugs. And then I'm running in the jail. I've got what they want. Some people have been in there like longer than I've been alive. They're just behind the door all day. They got nothing to do. They're getting drugs to get their head down and stuff like that.
What kind of drugs were being used?
Spice. That's actually what a lot of people want in jail. That was getting my floor cleaned in the morning just from a little card. I'm not even having to tidy my pipe. I just get someone to come in, he's sweeping my floor on his hands and knees just so we can get a smoke for the night.
I'd seen videos online which appeared to show addicted inmates doing chores for their dealers behind bars. But what these guys told me next was way more sinister.
And if you got a problem with somebody, you can just say, yo, go throw a kettle of water on him over there, I'll give you a bit of spice. That's getting that dealt with. You wanting anything done, even if you just want extra food, because you've only got £60 to spend a week, give you some spice.
You make it sound like it's your currency.
That's what I'm saying, like, that's like the biggest currency in jail, spice.
Isn't that just exploitation? Aren't you exploiting someone's addiction?
Yeah, literally. But it's just normal in there, like, that's what you're seeing day to day. Even the screws don't look at it funny. Your staff are walking past, you got a dunny on his hands and knees, and they know that's not his cell he's cleaning. They know exactly what's going on, it's just normal in there. It's mad in there.
They're really clear they can only do what they're doing with the cooperation of people in the prison system, or at the very least, people turning a blind eye.
Oh my God, what's that say, Spice?
Yeah.
Ruthless dealers, a captive market of addicts, and prison staff willing to turn a blind eye. It's a toxic recipe for disaster. It's obvious that this mix isn't confined to just one prison. And if those videos are anything to go by, then it's happening all over the place.
Are you going in? So you about that? I'm from the BBC. Can I ask you a couple of questions? I'm not going to speak to you.
It had been months now since I'd first started asking questions about HMP Wandsworth, the prison where Linda, the former officer at the centre of the sex tape scandal, had been working. So far, only one person had agreed to speak to me on condition of anonymity.
Why do you think so many of your colleagues were so reluctant to speak to me?
Because we've been instructed not to speak to the media.
But by who?
By the senior management. There's a sign outside going in and out of the prison which clearly says not to speak to any person from the media.
But then finally, another breakthrough.
Hey, Rachel, I'm Mobeen. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Are you all right? I'm good, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Come on in.
Come in, thank you so much.
Rachel worked as an officer at HMP Wandsworth for 2 years, till she decided she had no choice but to leave.
What have you been up to today?
Just getting ready.
Are you a bit nervous?
I'm a bit nervous.
You do not need to be nervous at all, honestly. You absolutely don't need to be nervous.
I know I have a lot to say and it needs to be said, but it is hard to relive such a difficult chapter of my life.
I appreciate you're nervous, but why did you decide that you want to speak to me?
Because I think it's really important that people understand what really goes on. It all happens, you know, behind 10-foot walls, and it's very like out of sight and out of mind. And I think if people really understood what was going on, then maybe we could have more constructive conversations about what we need to change.
Did you believe in what you were doing? Did you get up in the morning and think, you know, what I'm doing is difficult, but it's valuable?
100%, definitely. I never questioned if I was in the right job or if I'd made the right choice. I would have found it really hard to leave if I hadn't had that push.
What was the push?
A young prisoner took his own life, and there was a staff WhatsApp group chat where everybody was talking really horribly about him. and saying that they were glad that he was dead and calling him really awful names. One person said that they hope he suffered while he died. I was disgusted by the messages. It wasn't just officers. Multiple people throughout the hierarchy didn't challenge it in any way. And I did look at those people differently and think, do you think that it's okay? Or do you think it's wrong, but you don't want to ruin your career by speaking out? So I thought, this is endangering other people in my care. I have a duty of care to these people. So I knew I was going to report it.
What happened?
2 people who had made sort of the most egregious comments were suspended, and I was called up to meet the governing governor and the head of security, and they said, we need to move you off of your unit because you're not safe. And I said, I know my prisoners very well. I've worked there for 2 years. I'm happy to challenge their views on snitching. And they said to me, no, you're not safe. You're at risk from staff. You're under threat from your colleagues. There's an expectation that you don't speak out against other people. And it obviously did put a bit of a target on my back. And there were quite a few occasions where prisoners were saying to me, stand up for yourself. Like, why are you letting them be so rude to you? So it just was very uncomfortable for me now to be in a position where the only people defending me are prisoners.
I got in touch with HMP Wandsworth. They told me they investigated the comments and dismissed 2 officers.
If you found yourself in a situation where the prisoners are the ones that are kind of sticking up for you, did that leave you vulnerable to them possibly thinking that they might have control of the situation?
It absolutely is a situation where you're vulnerable to being corrupted, and it's spoken about in training as one of the key factors, being a split between officers, and that they'll see that and they'll pick up on that.
Look after yourself. So nice to meet you. Take care.
You too.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Have
you
a
very
good
much.
afternoon, all right? I really think Rachel was trying to do the right thing in a job. And by her doing the right thing, it meant she was forced out. And if that's replicated across other prisons as well, then that creates the perfect environment for corruption, for exploitation, and for people who want to use that for things like bringing in substances and making money off of prisoners. It is the perfect storm. Clearly, there's this ecosystem whereby you've got prisoners who are sometimes using substances inside prison, and in order to supply them and make that money, organized crime gangs are using the services of some prison officers that are therefore getting paid, right? I'm interested in that whole world, and I've got a contact that's put me in touch with a group of people who are part of that chain. So in particular, they're manufacturing spice. Whenever drugs are being sold, there's money to be made. What I don't understand is, why would you go through all the hassle of selling inside prison? Why not just do it on the street? You all right? How's it going? So what is happening? Is that spice?
Yeah, spice liquid.
I can smell it actually. So you got a little assembly line, little factory going on here.
Yeah.
Is this for a specific contact? Do you know where it's going to? Or is it just a constant demand for it?
We have our regulars, but there are new people all the time shouting us for this thing. It's a big market, there's a lot of money to be made. Once they get it in, they can charge whatever they want. If they're the only one with it and people need it, people want to pay whatever price it is.
It's a supply and demand thing.
Yeah.
Videos of people using spice in jail are all over socials. It's thought to be one of the most used drugs in UK prisons and has been blamed for a rise in violence and prisoner deaths.
If you stay close to it for too long, obviously you're gonna get...
Oh, so I need to move back from
You're gonna feel lightheaded.
The paperwork, I can see it's got text on it.
Yeah.
What is the text?
So it's legal papers. You can't just put blank papers. They're going to look at it and say, what's this? It needs to have some sort of formality on it. So on there, it's got the legal writing.
And so then that'll just bypass the system because they just think, yeah, it's a pile of legal paperwork.
Yeah.
Are the prison authorities just not at a place where they, you know, are they not aware of what's going on?
Of course, but there's so much going on. It's like they take a little bit, but at the same time they might take 10%. The other 90% is still flooding through every day. They can't get everything. One sheet alone, wholesale, can be £500 a sheet. And then how you break it down, that's 10 to 20 grand on that piece of string.
These sheets of spice paper are worth up to 10 times more in jail than they are on the street. And if you've got prison staff on the payroll, it's easy to understand why these gangs believe the potential reward outweighs the risk.
To get this into prison, have you got people working for you?
Of course. I've even got someone on the phone right now. That's in jail right now. I'll tell you the process, I'll tell you everything you do.
Yeah?
Yeah. Let me give him a call.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes, mate.
So you're inside right now? You've got your own phone, yeah?
Yeah.
And no one's got an issue with that? And in terms of prison officers around you, have you been in a situation where you've, you know, basically brought them over to your side, corrupted prison officers? Has that happened for you?
100%. There's a price for everyone in there. All officers, for a certain amount of money, they're going to do something. I'm not here for my pleasure, I'm here to be honest.
Is he gone?
He's gone.
So you must be like part of your supply chain?
Yeah.
How much money are you making?
On a good month, anything between 80 to 100,000. When you got this, you got the power in it. You know what I mean? If I got these 50 sheets on my wing now, everyone's got to come to me. Everyone's got to fall in order.
So it makes you the king?
Man, of course, bro.
Just think about that for a second. If gangs across the country have set up similar supply lines into other prisons, then potentially they're pulling in hundreds of millions of pounds a year. That's more cash to corrupt prison staff and more power to keep the business growing.
There's enough people that I've spoken to now who have been really clear that they supply prisons with drugs. And the story is the same. Those people are not saying that when they get a new sentence, their lives are going to fall apart and they're thinking about rehabilitation and a new way of life. They see it as a business opportunity because they want to supply drugs. And if they're in the inside, then they can do that. I mean, one thing that no one is talking about, and if we're really frank about it, don't really care about, are drug users, and particularly drug users inside prison. But that's an important part of that equation, that none of this would be possible without them. And there is a human cost to that stuff. So I think it's really important that it's considered.
32 deaths. What's it gonna take? These families have lost loved ones because you're smuggling drugs into that prison.
Since 2022, 32 inmates have died in this jail. 5 of the 17 fatalities in 2024 were suspected to be drug-related. Today, families of some of the men who died are staging a protest.
Your failure to stop the spice getting in, your staff bringing spice in, people should not be coming into these places and coming out dead, and that is what's happening, and it's happening because of your failures. Come down and face the public.
It's not good enough hearing. He will be sadly missed. He had always had a smile on his face. That doesn't do us justice. And we're just trying to fight to stop other people going through what our family and everybody else's family gone through. Some people are not drug users going in, but they're drug addicts coming out. That says if they are lucky to come out.
Mikey was your nephew?
He was, yes. He was a drug addict. It drove him to suicide. and there's nothing a parent can do on the outside. What I can say is my sister did have a phone call and a text asking for money that Mikey did owe. Mikey had 2 debts in there.
He was in debt inside?
He was in debt inside.
Have you any idea about the nature of that debt?
Spice.
It was a drug debt?
Yes.
Did you say it was your sister that got the message?
Yes, my sister's over there.
Oh, is she here?
Yes, I can bring her.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to her if that's all right.
Catherine?
Are you all right to speak to us? We're making a documentary. I've just been hearing about Mikey. I'm so sorry. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you all right to speak?
Yeah.
No pressure, only if you want to. Are you okay? Your sister was just telling me about texts you were getting.
Yeah.
Could you show me the texts?
Yeah. There's one.
Can I read it? Is that all right?
Yeah.
So then they've got a name and the bank details.
Yes.
Have I got to pay you 250 quid, you've asked?
Yes.
That was my instruction, but I appreciate that you've not heard it from your son yet. It's just so wild that someone would be so brazen to text you and just say hand over 250 quid for, you know, a drug debt, which shouldn't have occurred in the first place because there's meant to be no drugs in there. Did you end up paying the 250 quid?
I told her to fuck off. Excuse my language.
No,
I
that was
told her to
fine.
fuck
Yeah, yeah.
off. I'm not paying no more. And I did say to Mikey, enough is enough. I am not paying anymore. You could stand on your own 2 feet, and I gotta live with that now.
Drugs smuggled inside prisons by some officers appeared to have become the new normal, and the devastating impact on the most vulnerable inmates was being documented online. I wanted to understand why so many officers in the prison system were either bringing in drugs or doing little to stop prisoners using. Was this a problem with the individuals or a much bigger issue with the system itself?
Do you want to jump in?
Yeah, sure.
How's your day been?
Busy.
You all right? Nice to meet you. You all right?
Yeah.
One person I was hoping might be able to shed some light is Mark Fairhurst, head of the Prison Officers Association.
We've had this morning a member of staff assaulted who's had to go home.
What, just this morning?
Yeah. This member of staff was in his 60s, by the way. And now we've got an ongoing incident in the jail itself where the prisoners decided to jump on the safety net. So that brings a grinding halt to absolutely everything until we get him off or he decides to come off.
What? So that's happening right now?
That's happening right now, an ongoing incident, yeah. I'm in my 34th year. I'm used to it. I know what to expect.
You know what you're doing.
I know how it's changed. It hasn't changed for the better in any way whatsoever because of lack of investment from successive governments over the last 20, 30 years.
Mark speaks for thousands of prison officers across the country, so I want his take on why some of them are being corrupted.
Some of the stories I've heard, the entry point might be turn a blind eye to someone vaping, but then that goes all the way up to, can you actually start being the person that brings contraband in?
I think that's the problem with the recruitment process. It's not strict enough. The vetting process is not strict enough. The training is not fit for purpose. I think that's where it starts. Because back in my day, you did challenge everything. And you had standards, and you had leaders. You had managers on the wing who led the way, and you had experienced staff to guide you. And I think now that's gone. The problem with corrupt staff is it affects us all. As you've seen from that Wandsworth video, the amount of abuse and provocative, suggestive language female staff now get from prisoners because of that video is off the scale. It's an absolute disgrace.
A lot of the conversations that I'm having with people that are serving as prison officers at the moment, they're painting a picture that is really, really bleak. And so what do you see as the way out? What do you see as the fix?
I would double the amount of staff in every prison. And that way, it's very difficult for corrupt staff to operate.
Do you think it's going to happen?
I think if it doesn't, the system will crumble entirely because more and more people will leave. We're on the brink now.
Mark believes the system is at breaking point, but what he told me next made the situation sound even more bleak.
You are dealing with a cohort of prisoner who is more violent. There's more money around, there's more drug dealers around. That's the problem, there's more organised criminal gangs around. It's easy to get drugs in, and the main way they come in, it's not by corrupt staff. Now you just throw them over the wall, or even easier, GPS on a drone, hangs the goods outside the prison, and you just collect them.
I did some research into what Mark said, and get this, in the last year there were more than 1,700 drone incidents outside prisons in England and Wales. That works out as more than 4 a day, and that's a 43% increase on the year before. What exactly is being done to stop these deliveries that are all over my timeline? To find out, I wanted to see the process for myself.
The plan tonight is to spend some time with someone that makes the packages of contraband that then end up in prison. What I really want to see is the inside of that process. Because I know it's, we might not like this word, because some people might think it legitimizes it, but it's an industry. By this point, I know that this is happening. Enough people have mentioned it. We know that there's contraband getting into prisons. We know there's drugs and phones and other stuff in prisons. So we know it's happening. So it is an industry. People are getting paid off of it. And so I think it's valuable, actually, seeing how that works. How you doing? I'm Mobeen. What do I call you?
Bricks.
Bricks.
Bricks is putting together a package that will be flown into prison tonight.
This one's just tobacco, some razors, some chargers. It's a light one, but obviously still, when broken down right, it's a lot of money in jail. It's thousands of pounds. Day factory, special order, someone's ordered mushrooms. Obviously this is probably what the biggest craze is right now. It's just that paper.
Is that spice?
Yeah, it's laced with spice.
How did you get started in this?
See, I went to jail a few times myself from a young age. Obviously, you get exposed to all the different avenues of making revenue. So obviously, there's risk to reward to everything, so it's just pick your risks.
Can you put a figure on how much money you made when you were inside?
Touching 6 figures, I've seen man that made $1 million in jail. It's not hard if you know what you're doing.
Hang on, did he just say £1 million?
Seen man that made $1 million in jail.
How are these gangs managing to make that much money without getting caught?
So talk me through what happens when it leaves here. What is the process?
Obviously it goes to my people, driving near a prison. It's flown into the prison.
When it goes over the prison wall, how does it physically then get into the hands of the person that wants it?
You get a flashlight and you put it on outside your window, and a drone pilot can see which window has the flashlight on. When it all goes well, go to someone's window and they'll grab that. It'll usually be a grabber. So that won't even be the person that's paid for the stuff. Because if they've seen that in the air, they're going to want to spin that cell in the morning. So you wouldn't want to risk that. So you usually got someone with a spice there, or some form of drug there. They'll be the grabber. They'll get their window smashed out. So they can stick their hand out at night and boom, bam, bam.
Are you doing this to a particular schedule? Is someone waiting for you? Is that right?
That's why we need to wrap this up, because...
Okay, fine. How much money would you make from that?
Depending on the size, what's been put in that box right now, you could get about, if you push it, 7.5 to 8 grand. Yeah, stop rolling now.
Okay, we can cut.
I have no idea where we're going or what prison this is for, but it seems like a big operation with a whole chain of command.
All right, let's jump in the car. Come on. All right, so what is your job in this?
I'm just like the fucking bridge in it, like, you get what I'm saying?
Are you the kind of connect between...
Oh, you got it right there in one. You get what I'm saying? It's a thing where fucking... Like, I know men from jail, they give me the bird call, and then I pattern it.
So they're putting like a specific order?
A specific order. Obviously, man, if I don't get the call, man will hit me up and say, bish bash bosh, can you pat them, boom, 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 and obviously I give them my fucking rate, and literally that's all I do with this thing. You get what I'm saying? Like,
And tonight, then, are you getting this delivered to a particular cell?
it's a man that I fuck with. They've come to me and I'm putting the order for this thing. The money's already been sorted, so it's just.
Do you know? Are they gonna be? Is this for their personal use, or are they gonna be dealing it?
No, they're shotting, blood.
Where's the drone flying from?
It's going from. You're gonna just see it go in the sky, man. You get me?
We'll just follow you. Yeah, like we're not gonna get in the way.
Yeah. I'll just directly look to the pilot. You look and film the pilot. I'm gonna park off here.
Is that the pilot?
Yeah.
We jump out.
Yeah.
Flying a drone within 400 meters of a prison is against the law. If caught, these guys could face up to 10 years in jail. With that in mind, it felt nuts that this was all going down in plain sight. So I guess when this happens, you just want to be like in and out as quickly as you can.
Yeah. I feel vulnerable right now, blood.
Yeah, tell me about it. Do you ever have a situation where it's not delivered or there's a problem?
There's been times where man has said they ain't got it, or it's been yacked by the boss. There's people that you're getting parcels like about 100 parcels a month. But that's I'm not the one doing the whole 100 parcels. There's many people like me, you know what I'm saying?
You know, for this package, have you already been paid?
Yeah.
How much have you been paid for it?
£2.5 quid.
2.5 grand?
Yeah.
For this one parcel?
Yeah.
And that's just your cut?
Yeah, that's my cut.
You know, in a couple of minutes, that is beyond. It's in the prison now. You know what I mean? It's entered the system. The way he did it, it's just everyone like looking over their shoulder.
We should let him do this, but we should sit in the car and let him do his thing, because all of us out here, like, this is mental. We should let him fly it, you get what I'm saying?
If you want to move back to the car, we can move back to the car.
Back to the whip, bro.
It's now 1:29 in the morning. They've just done one delivery. He was pretty clear he's got another one to do tonight. And that's any given night in London. And he was really clear at the start of the night. He said there isn't a prison in the country that they can't get stuff into. It's a lot bigger than a few people that are doing this as a little enterprise. I've now been working on this story for a year. What started off being about a sex tape that went viral had pulled me into a world of drugs, organised crime and coercion, where corrupt prison officers were cogs in a much bigger machine.
Everybody has to be paid.
With millions of pounds at stake for the officers and inmates who've made smuggling contraband their business.
And then how you break it down, that's 10 to 20 grand on that piece of string.
I had questions about what lengths they'd go to protect their profits.
For these youths around there, they're shanking you up. I'm not older, but I'll put a hole in someone. That's my type of thing.
And then I came across this. I've been hearing these stories about fire bombings linked to prison guards in the car park of prisons. And so I'm heading to the main prison in the middle of Edinburgh. I know this is one of the places where a prison guard's car was firebombed. This is the car park. So someone in one of these houses must have seen something.
So I think it probably is worth asking around.
Kind of obvious, but no one was going to invite me in for a cup of tea to chat about cars being set on fire in their neighborhood. The locals were terrified of becoming a target, but one woman did agree to speak to me off camera.
She's really clear that they're scared of reprisals. She says that they spoke to some prison staff who told her off the record that they'd seen people come on the prison CCTV, and these people came and targeted the car, and that's when they worked out that it was a targeted attack. And the car wasn't just a random car, it isn't, you know, someone just parked there. It's one of the staff, it's one of the prison staff. And then she told me about the fire, and she said the night it happened, her family group chat just popped off because she filmed this. That is the prison guard's car on fire. Can you hear her? She just says, "This is terrifying."
And it wasn't just happening in Edinburgh. I soon saw reports of similar incidents all over the UK. The firebombs were a warning, a signal that criminals were prepared to attack prison staff anywhere at any time. With concerns reaching unprecedented levels, a new story hit the headlines that seemed to confirm many people's worst fears. Elias Morgan, a former prisoner at HMP Altcourse, stood accused of murdering Lenny Scott, a man who'd worked as an officer at the jail.
There's this article that says, former prison guard was shot dead in an act of retaliation after he exposed an illicit relationship between a convict and a female officer. The police have put out a bunch of evidence now because it's gone to trial. So this is the phone call. This is Lenny Scott calling the police.
Hello, Minister, please.
Hi, I'm an officer at HMP Altcourse. I've just been informed that there's been a car set outside my house all weekend.
Right, okay, so what's your name, please?
Lenny Scott.
And who's made the threat?
Elias Morgan. I've nicked him for the phone. Just in fear for my family's life, that's all.
Before this call, Morgan had offered Lenny £1,500 to turn a blind eye to his contraband phone, but Lenny refused to be corrupted.
He said he's got lads everywhere, so he says he's described my vehicle and he's described my house and what my girlfriend and twin boys look like. He's got everything to a T. He knows, he's described everything.
He's so obviously asking for help. It's not as if he kept this to himself, and there's one point in there he says it's not about me, I can handle whatever. You know, he's worried about the rest of the family. And then not so long after that, he ends up dead. And I think this is it's a different league to everything else we've been looking at.
The contraband phone that Lenny seized didn't just incriminate Morgan. It led to the discovery of a relationship between the inmate and a female prison officer named Sarah Williams.
And I phone the ads, and he reckons it's going to incriminate him, so that's why he's going to these lads.
An illicit relationship, a contraband phone, and now allegations of a murder. The trial was still underway, so that was my next stop.
Some pretty horrific evidence. It's Lenny Scott's dad, so Lenny Scott being the prison officer, and his dad tells this story about a conversation he had with his son one day about being threatened. So after he'd confiscated this phone that was found in his cell, Elias Morgan apparently said to him, "I'll bide my time, but I promise I'll get you," whilst making this kind of gun sign with his fingers. "I'll bide my time, but I promise I'll get you." And then Lenny goes on to explain
He said to his dad, that was my job. I wasn't doing anything other than what my job demanded. Now, the fact of the matter is, he's now dead. And so whatever happens at this trial, it paints a pretty horrific picture of what's going on in the prison system. Whilst the trial of Lenny's alleged killer continued in Preston, I headed back to London to try and tie up the story I'd been chasing for over a year. Linda D'Souza Abreu was out of prison, so I had one last chance to see if she'd answer my questions about whether or not the sex tape was part of an attempted coercion plot. I'll see you in a bit. So I think she was home, which is something, but she wouldn't speak to me. She didn't get in front of me. The other half did, and he said, look, she can't speak to you. And so then we went down this path of, okay, she can't speak to me, but what does that mean? No, she can't speak to you. Okay, she can't speak to me because she's not allowed to, or because she doesn't want to. No, she's not allowed to. Oh, so it's legal. Yeah, she can't speak to you legally. So then I said, look, I know how license conditions work. If it's a condition of her license that she can't speak to the press, then that's going to be over at some point. That's going to expire. When is that expiring? I don't know. So there's part of me that kind of feels that ship might have sailed. There's part of me that also thinks, unless you were the kind of person that actually wanted notoriety, which is what I thought. I think it's what a lot of people thought when they first saw the video. Unless you caught that kind of attention, I understand why an average person would want to draw a line under this and just never speak about it again. But the flip side of that is, I think, given that she was in public office, given that she's been convicted, I also think she's got a responsibility. "200 miles up the motorway in Preston, the trial of Lenny Scott's alleged killer was in its 9th week.
Retaliation. That's because Lenny Scott was a former prison officer. 4 years ago, he found a mobile phone in a cell that showed a sexual relationship between Elias Morgan and another prison officer. He was offered money to keep quiet.
We're in Preston. It is the last phase of this murder trial. When this started and there was all these very tabloid headlines involving a prison officer and a sex tape, I think a lot of people just thought, isn't this funny? And this very salacious and silly. I don't think anyone really thought about the thread that runs from something like that, which you can describe as prison officer corruption, and something like this, which is a murder trial. But there's definitely a thread there.
The outcome of this trial had the potential to send shockwaves across the prison service.
The jury's been sent out, so there's going to be a verdict imminently, whether it takes a few hours or a few days. And Lenny, the prison officer that was killed, I did speak to his mom. And I don't want to jinx it, but she says she does want to talk. She says it's dependent on what happens with the verdict. Of course, no one knows what is going to happen. But she says she thinks it's really important and she does want to talk.
It's not about one individual, is it? It's about an entire family like that being ripped apart.
As the jury deliberated, I thought back to the months I'd spent speaking to prison officers, some of them complicit in corruption.
You made a lot of money.
Yeah, and I spent a lot of money because you can't keep up with the amount you make.
Others chose to turn a blind eye because they'd lost faith in the system.
I'm not trying to hear it. I'm not trying to get involved. My job, go in, do what I need to do.
If you walk past the store and you smell a bit of
couldn't care.
And now, details of this case suggested that doing the right thing could be fatal.
It was an act of revenge on a prison officer who was doing his job.
Today, Elias Morgan from Liverpool was convicted by a jury who took just over 5 hours to decide he was guilty of murder.
2 days after the verdict, I got a call. Lenny's parents were ready to talk. For safety reasons, we're meeting at a neutral location.
What I want really is just to understand what Lenny went through. Because this didn't happen overnight. It happened over a period of years, actually. It was a long, long period.
At the trial, the court was told that Lenny had confided in his parents after receiving threats from Morgan.
So you wanted, it was just black coffee?
Yes, thank you.
And that's got 1 sugar in it.
I wanted to know what Lenny had told them and understand his experience as a prison officer at HMP Alt Course.
You feeling okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So as I said, just at your own pace.
Yeah.
And just, if you want a moment, you take a moment.
Yeah.
Can you remember the first time he ever mentioned that he was interested in going into the prison service?
Yes.
What was the conversation?
Well, he told me he'd seen job advertised and he was applying for it.
He said it was the type of job where he thought he could make a difference. I'll be able to help with rehabilitation, etc., etc.
So he thought there was an obvious public good that he could do with it?
Oh, yes, very much so.
You know, once he started that job, can you remember what his first few weeks were like? Was he excited?
He loved it, yeah. He really liked it. All his training. Thought it was everything he wanted it to be.
Did he ever speak to you about seeing things, hearing things, you know, about corruption? How did he feel that was being dealt with?
There did come a change at Alt Course for him. He would just say there's corrupt prison officers that are sort of giving in to the prisoners' demands of whatever that may be. He didn't go into detail.
No. He said to me at some point that it feels like I'm being a pest to management. It's as if they want me just to go, oh, just leave well alone. But Lenny couldn't.
He just couldn't do that because he wanted to do his job properly. Can you remember the first time he told you about any threats?
He spoke to me, but he always put a humorous spin on everything, Lenny. He never wanted to worry anybody.
What was the response when he spoke to his work? What did they do or say?
He did feel like he wasn't supported by management. He said, oh, they don't think it's, you know, serious, it's deemed as low risk.
4 years after the threats, Lenny was no longer working in the prison service, and the inmate who threatened him had been released. On the evening of February 8th, 2024, Lenny has been training at the gym. By the time he leaves, Morgan has been waiting for him for almost an hour. As Lenny stands talking to someone in the car park, Morgan approaches. He shoots Lenny 6 times at close range.
You know, the kind of initial shock, and I imagine, you know, I've never gone through anything like that, but I imagine there's just the absolute kind of devastation of losing someone.
Numbness, wasn't it? It's just numb. He did nothing wrong. There's a saying, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. All he did was his job. Why do that? Why ruin so much just to prove a point of retaliation for him?
Remember, the chain of events that led up to this moment began at HMP Alt Course. Analysis of the contraband phone that Lenny seized from Elias Morgan revealed a relationship between the inmate and a female prison guard named Sarah Williams.
How do you process that it started with someone having a relationship with a prisoner and it ended, you know, here?
That's where my problems with Alt Course are, that why was she allowed to have relationships with 3 prisoners? Why was she allowed that, even after people told them that she was corrupt, that was she allowed to carry on?
Carry on.
So they're my questions I have for them. I would like to ask All Course a number of questions around it. Once you've got a corrupt officer, it puts every other member of staff at risk.
At risk, yeah.
And that's what he was against completely.
I mean, at the end of the day, if Lenny had turned a blind eye, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But that wouldn't have been Lenny.
It just wasn't him.
It just wasn't him.
I'm really grateful for you both speaking to me. I really am. I know this is not...
Sorry if...
You do not need to be sorry at all, honestly, not for 1 second. I know this is not a nice conversation to have, so I'm really, really grateful. Thank you so much for speaking to me. Elias Morgan, that's the man that murdered Lenny. He's been sentenced to 45 years. And you can think about that as some kind of neat ending to this story, but of course it's not. If you think about Lenny's family, or actually if you think about anyone that works in the prison system, it's kind of impossible to process that someone got murdered just for doing their job. They're never going to get over that. And whether it's Linda's sex tape, or it's Lenny's story, or it's all those inappropriate relationships I've been hearing about, or the contraband that's going into prisons, it really feels that at every single level there's examples of corruption in the prison system. So if that's going to change, then you have to acknowledge this isn't about a few individuals. This is about a system that right now isn't working. And the people that have to acknowledge that are the people with power. So I'm talking about people at the top. They have to be willing to at least have that conversation. And at the moment, that isn't happening. And that's a problem.
If you've been a victim of crime, details of organisations offering information and support are available on the BBC Action Line website.